Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Upper Chichester Board of Commissioners caucus meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Needles.
Sure thing. Commissioner Neary,
Here.
Commissioner Bacco,
Here.
Commissioner Godioso,
Here.
Michael Karati,
Here.
Commissioner Whitaker,
Here.
Commissioner Burkowski,
Here.
Michael Cioto,
Here.
Caitlin Hill, and myself, George Needles, President.
All right, thank you. This evening, we have a presentation of a flex concept plan by WP Boothwin LLC for the development of a parcel of land, parcel ID number 0900008600, property location 3709 Chichester Avenue. Please make your way over to the podium. Right there.
Carl, partners become stop and about for 5 years. We developed the autism. We don't want to look at autism in great man. We can talk about like space. And the question you may have on and is that tenants that are trades that are having that martial arts, one of the hybrid retail. You think you have the ability to get to this hybrid type? And
What kind of retail? You said a hybrid retail. Would it be car mechanics could go in there?
that's an idea. We're thinking later.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing heavy is.
No, because that would be it would be disruptive to the other tenants. It's not the
Mhm.
kind of tenant mix we're trying to curate here. We want a little more lighter impact and more of a hybrid retail type deal.
Would that fit that zoning though, like an auto repair shop there?
I
don't know if it does.
No.
Yeah, if it's
Okay.
I think I thought trades. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
So where do you have these other, I'm sorry. that was- do you have-
No,
that's a question? Where do you have these other establishments like this, other businesses and other? Is this a first for you?
This
Is
is the
this?
first. Yeah, we've done industrial and we've done retail. We've never done a hybrid too.
Okay, okay. Are there, I guess, other developers that you're aware of that have done this? And if so, where did you get this model from?
Sure. It's called small bay industrial flex space everywhere. What hasn't been done recently is it hasn't been built recently. Because the rents usually don't justify new construction. But because we own the ground outright, we think we have a good chance of being able to compete with the existing small bay. Basically, every contractor is in small bay, and some of the yoga studios, bed and bath, kitchen type things. So they're all over the place, but not a lot of new have been built. So we're a little bit pioneering in that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Scotty.
Are there conflicts from the parking standpoint where the bays are versus where the parking spaces are shown? It looks like there's been overlap where there's a bay, but there's parking space in front of it.
That's right, because the bays are rarely used in general. You usually don't want to give up 2 spaces. You just move the cars and allow trucks on it. It might only mean once every couple of days, maybe even once a week. So, but it's good to have for deliveries when they are needed.
I have a couple more questions. So there's 6 units to each building, correct?
Yes,
And then the roughly 57 feet by 26 feet wide. If somebody wants to take 2 of them, is that easy to fit out?
yeah, that's the intent. The intent is it's 1,500 square feet,
Mhm.
3,000, 3,500. We can accommodate most of these users are not gonna want more than 3,000, so I think we wouldn't see more than 2 bays combined, I would expect.
Then I see you have a cul-de-sac at the end, I guess, for cars to turn around. What's the thought process about accessing the back of the units?
We don't
Would
really-
be any car traffic there or just foot traffic?
Just foot traffic, yeah, we don't intend to access the back,
Okay.
except where you'll see the 3 buildings that have yards behind them. That would be a private parking area for that particular user.
And is there any consideration to extend Mill Road all the way down? So that way we have access to continue the road?
Yeah, no, it's not our intent to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have. Okay. On Mill Road, is that an exit, an entrance going into the facilities? There's a
Yeah, please.
opening there on Mill Road towards the end?
We're gonna tag team this presentation if you don't mind. I'm Bill Roundtree, also with Bright Partners, the Director of Development. So when we came through with the AutoZone, we provided cross access. You can see that to the far left of the drawing.
Right.
Our intention, however, is that we'll provide full movement access to the entrance we're showing on the road. We're not sure if that cross access is even necessary, but we showed it since that was the design intent of the AutoZone.
The entrance where AutoZone is now, going on Mill Road. You're gonna have another entrance down a little further?
That's right. If you look at the
Right.
plan,
That-
just to the right of the
Right.
first building on the left.
Yeah. Then, the other question, you're saying that, Mike was asking about the back, if there's any traffic in the back. What are the number twos? You got 2, 4, 6
So
blocks.
that's
There-
that's a parking count. We don't know who our tenants are
Right.
yet. Obviously, this is the first step in our process. We just designated 6 of the total number of units as having the ability to provide some vehicle parking in the back. The vehicles would get access through the bay doors to park back there. Our thought process was if you had a local, landscaper where the employees took out company trucks in the daytime, but at night needed to park the trucks, that's where they would park them. So we didn't impact the parking in front for the other customers and their tenants.
So how would the fire department get behind the buildings if you have a vehicle parked in the back of those, if there's an incident?
Yep, so
They
right,
have to go right through the building to get to them? There's no entrance towards the left side by AutoZone?
no, there's not. So, obviously we have to go through a land
Right.
development process, but our thought right now is that the fire truck will be able to access, along that drive aisle from the front of all buildings, and the depth is, we think, adequate to allow the standard fire hose, 150 foot to reach back there. These will be 1-story buildings. They'll be higher, but they'll be 1-story.
But I'm looking at the new parking lot there, not AutoZone's parking lot. But the one next where, yeah, that one. What's that in the top right corner there? What is all
That's
that?
a trash enclosure.
Could that be moved to be, I mean, I know we're in the early stages, could that be moved just to be able to have an entrance to the back?
I think that's something we could look at. I mean, we want to keep this plan compliant. This was a designed plan from a conceptual standpoint. We're engineers, we can't help ourselves, but we haven't hired our professional staff yet. We're vetting the project first to review folks.
I understand.
Right now, we're fully compliant from the impervious coverage standpoint, from a building coverage standpoint, and we think from a parking standpoint. We'd really hate to get to a point where we'd need some kind of zoning review. That's why we're here to talk about these sort of things. So we could probably move the dumpster, but I don't know what that might get you. We certainly talk about it.
Thank you.
I have some questions when the board's done. Good. So I guess sticking with the dumpster, so we've made some comments here. We took a kind of a quick overview of and review of the plan. The dumpster location is actually over top of some stormwater facilities and a swale that comes down from the AutoZone.
That was pointed out to me this afternoon
Okay.
by Brad, our construction manager.
So, yeah, so it would need to be moved anyway, right? So, you know, if we can find another home for it, that may provide some access for you to get into the back areas if that's your intent to have something back in there. Would probably need to be stabilized somehow to have fire truck or emergency access back there. So, I don't know if that's grass pavers or it's something else, but that's stuff that you guys could look at.
So we're not proposing any permanent improvement like that, but I'll have to look back. I think we improved that area by the stormwater pipe to allow, you know, certain level of vehicle access for basin maintenance. I don't know if
Okay.
you were involved, I forget, were involved.
My office was involved, but not me personally. Correct. Okay,
Yeah, but that's not our intent. We're not planning on providing that, given the size of these buildings and the ability to access. between them.
yeah, I mean, there was already some concerns about how you get back there. You're showing it as green space. It would have to be paved if you're talking about making them parking spaces, but, and without access to them, I'm not sure that it even meets. Without direct access to them, I'm not sure they meet zoning. One of the other things with the parking in the front, if you have these overhead doors, I think for planning purposes and showing that you're meeting zoning, you'd have to pick, I guess, a certain number of these that would have the overhead doors and not have parking spaces in front of it, so you would have that loading access. And I don't know, you know, if you guys have experience with it or whatnot, but you'd have to figure out, I guess, to make sure, because if every one of these has an overhead door, you're gonna lose a bunch of parking spaces, and you may not meet the parking requirement without either, you know, making some changes to the design.
Yep, so that's a good comment. There's two things in front. Number one, not all the garage, we'll likely build the garage. Buildings will be built as they're partially leased, so we won't know who all the tenants are, but some tenants will use that as, you know, basically a big window, and it won't be used for operational purposes. Some tenants will use it as a garage door to get access. We have no way to predict that. So we'll have to work that out as we go along. But with regard to compliance with the township ordinance, we do need to sit down with the township and figure out exactly what parking. We feel this is adequately parked for the types of use we're proposing, and other projects of this nature have similar parking ratios. But it doesn't quite fit into your ordinance from a parking
Yeah,
requirement perspective.
Understood. Yeah, there'll have to be some review in that respect, but I guess I just wanted to point out that you may not have, like you just said, you might have to lose one or two spaces for every single one of these flex units. In order to meet the strict requirement for zoning and to have an open loading space for each of these units. So it's something we're gonna need to look at much more closely.
We're looking for flexibility because we only have one row of parking. And we're gonna be able to, we're gonna have to use both loading and parking for those spaces. For the project viable. So if that requires a leave, we'll be seeking leave. But we will need to be able to do some proposal. Mainly because there's not much loading that happens. Once a maybe once in 2, maybe never. That's what you noticed to me.
Right, and so one of the other things also in the ordinance is that you need to provide loading space. You know, on the lot exclusive of drive aisles. And parking spaces, so. And so that's like if you get a tractor trailer or something, or box van or something that comes in to make deliveries. And it's in the ordinance and you can look it up, but it's for every so many square feet of space, you need to have so many loading zones. So that's another thing that's not really shown on this plan. So that may actually eliminate some of these parking spaces also, and that need to be dedicated more towards loading space. So it's something else that you need to look at to make sure that you can get the yield that you think you're trying to get here.
And we may end up in the project not viable by the time we don't get. We're gonna give our best shot and ask for the lead to speak and think to be a viable project.
I'm just bringing up points that, you know, are more or less conflicting with the ordinance or could conflict with the ordinance, so,
Totally get it.
okay. Parking, loading zone. You know, we could get into a little bit further, but, you know, some of the layout, and some of the requirements for landscaping, around the buildings. And just the fact that if you have a car parked right up against the sidewalk here, and the bumper overhangs, you can't really have people walk across. A lot of times we'll see maybe a 5-foot grass strip and then the sidewalk or something like that. Or some kind of combination thereof, and then you have plantings that you can put along the building as well to make it look a little nicer, so. It's just some, you know, again, another thing, and it's in the ordinance, I believe, that you're supposed to have plantings around, surrounding the building, foundation plantings. All right. And then, you know, once you start shifting those things around, you'll need to make sure you're still meeting the setbacks. You know, front yard setback off of Mill Road, rear yard setback, you know, all of those things, because it's getting, you know, tighter as you start moving some things around to fit things in a little better. And I don't know if you got to this point yet or not, but I know this site is sloping downhill a bunch. And based on the thinking that these buildings going to be flat across, or are they going to be stepping down, or you haven't looked at that?
Once that happens,
Okay.
we know we have to do it.
Yeah, you may end up with some retaining walls, that you need to look into for this as well. And then we'll need to look into what, you know, where they're located and you know, how that might affect zoning as well. Okay.
I just have one. We have two schematics here for parking. And the one that has the 133. I don't know if you've seen this one. Isn't this from you?
Yeah, I think that's Brian. I think that's this one.
Joe, so we're gonna call Brian, this is something Brian did as part of his review.
So we have some other like little technical things that we could go through at a different time, but another one is just making sure the trucks can circulate in this. Again, box, you're saying you're gonna have a mixed use. You still are gonna get box vans. You might get the occasional tractor trailer. We need to make sure they can make the turn in and out, that they can circulate through the site and get in and out without getting stuck, basically. So, I mean, that's kind of a brief overview of some of the comments that we had on this and things that you guys are gonna need to look into before you really move too much further forward. And that's all I had, unless the board has any other questions for me.
Thank you. I think Mr. Needles has some questions or comments.
Yeah, just real quick before we get to Brian, because Brian did do a review as well on this. So from a high level, from the example architecture that you offered, so I've seen this in other places where they've gone and adaptive reuse of older buildings like this into these types of uses. So typically, in the C1 zoning districts, when you're talking retail, service type of things, there's space out front of the doors for the business to kind of spill over into the outside for like brew pubs, things like that. However, I was concerned that your initial aim of your target would be contractors. I would just advise when you're doing your review of the zoning that you really look at what a tradesman shop, the definition of that zoning is, because depending on what that is and what comes in for a use, you could have it could comply, or it could be something where you have a lot of trouble filling these because they might be more of a contractor that's not necessarily a tradesman shop. And Brian, did you want to make points?
Good evening, everybody. Brian Seidel, the township planner.
we did a review of this project and of this area. Generally just a few things like from the overall development that's been, discussed here. Drew, can you go back a page up to the site plan? The top of the page is kind of the overview, showing a larger area here. In front is the auto zone, and the back is the building proposed development as a whole. This standing here. What's also shown in this aerial, this is Reliance Fire Company. Down behind this is Chichester. As part of our Blueprint Heights neighborhood plan that we looked at in this area was a big point of discussion. There is a discussion of potential extension of Mill Road back that street in this area. Not something that is not an active project in that it's being funded, but it is something that we're currently pursuing. As recently as the summer, had conversations with PA DCED regarding the project and the aspects of this. Reliance Fire Company was also, as the commissioners know, kind of dormant for a while, being, I believe, maybe relocating the fire company into this area, with the potential of becoming kind of an emergency services facility for and hub for the township. So just some things that for the applicant to take into consideration here for Reliance, the use of that property, and also the potential future connection of Millwood. I believe a lot of the comments that we had are generally have been addressed. We are concerned from an overall development perspective and building style. I do think it's generally C1 district, provided the uses would be permitted in the underlying zoning district here. I really look at this as something that might be slightly different and similar to the Willowbrook Shopping Center, where we have a long building that has the Thirsty Bulldog, it has the library, Chai Cafe, personal services, has a variety of things that are all generally compatible. Did have the concern regarding parking, and my discussion with the traffic engineer, Rico for the township. One of the concerns that he did have was regarding, access in this location here with the driveway coming in shared with AutoZone, and then trying to make a tight movement back to a cul-de-sac back in this area where it would be easier if Mill Road were extended to have just circulation across the front here. Another component or idea concept that was addressed here was the fact that with vehicles coming in and making that tight turn from Mill, that really S-shaped kind of movement here, may be easier if vehicles were able to go to the back and really kind of put the site plan a little bit and put the parking and loading around the back of the buildings with the pedestrian streetscape. Some of the things Mike Sioka, township engineer, had just mentioned was regarding parking conflicts and calculations, so to speak, and parking that conflict with loading. If we saw my other personal thoughts here was that maybe it would be beneficial to sewer front yard variance for the building closer to the street to allow the parking. Just a suggestion. Talk about the Lions being services in the potential extension, and another plan contemplated, I would say, would be a driveway connection to get from Middle Road, accessible. I believe you had questions regarding a plan that we had. Yeah, Correct.
Sorry. I guess my question is with the extension of Mill Road, are you asking them to extend it to 470 feet?
I'm not sure how that would work, quite honestly.
Because the concern I have is extending it, and I know it's a long range, but that would take almost half the parking that Reliance currently has. And they are, I would say, hard pressed often when they have fundraisers and that sort of thing to have enough parking as it is. I know people park up at the CVS on some of those fundraisers. It's just a concern.
And honestly, with the applicant being discussion, so these things can be vetted for the applicant.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Just one question. If this don't look feasible, do you have any other thoughts in mind for that property? I mean, I want to see it developed. I just didn't know if you had any other ideas. Yeah.
All right, any questions from the public regarding this project? Questions? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next we have our 2026 budget presentation.
Go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Caitlin Hill. I am the newly appointed Township Treasurer. George Needles, the Township Manager, and I have prepared this presentation to highlight the Upper Chichester Township's 2025 year in review and 2026 budget presentation. We will start by highlighting our achievements, projects, and items that are in progress for 2025. We will briefly go over our budget process and reiterate our budget priorities. To follow, we will highlight our focus areas for 2026 and we'll break down different sections of our 2026 budget.
All right, good evening, everybody. 2025 was another banner year here in Upper Chichester Township, with your local government doing everything you can to get the most out of your tax dollars. One of the items that came to fruition this past year that we've been working on for quite some time was the Southeastern Pennsylvania Stormwater Authority. For many, many years, and still continuing now, we've had issues related to flooding, damage of property, threat of life, loss of life due to flooding, as well as just general water quality issues in the area. So the Board of Commissioners years ago went and did a study to evaluate what we could do to make sure that we had something in place to be able to address that for decades to come, not just kind of putting Band-Aids on. The solution was the Southeastern Pennsylvania Stormwater Authority, and I'm proud to say that that was officially formed in January of 2025. We had our successful first round of billing in July of 2025. We started maintenance work under the authority in July of 2025. So far, the authority has applied for 2 grants with Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Both of these are aimed at jumpstarting their capital improvement plan. Part of that project in setting up the authority and feasibility was establishing a 5-year capital projects plan that we could work off of. They adopted a technological platform allowing residents to make online payments. This was something that we've heard for years from people that we weren't able to take online payments. Can we start taking online payments? So in doing this, we were also able to work that into the township as well. So now people can make online payments for things like summer camp permits. So this is really positive all around. And then we've worked through the authority to cultivate partnerships with Delaware County Conservation District and Penn State Extension to help further stormwater education within Upper Chichester and Delaware County. We've been interviewed by a couple of different people throughout the country who are looking at best practices to manage stormwater, and they're using this as one of the models for them. The Upper Chichester Police Department, as always, was out protecting and serving your community. This year, they went through a restructuring, which allowed them to have everyday coverage in the traffic and criminal units. This was in response to kind of what they've seen across the board going on throughout the community, as well as some of the concerns that were brought up here at the commissioners' meetings. Successfully completed a civil service examination resulting in the hiring of 2 additional full-time patrol officers, 2 additional part-time patrol officers as well. In addition, there was 2 other civil service examinations. We now have a lieutenant in the department, first time in a very long time that we've had a lieutenant. And that's part of the department's succession plan, as well as a full complement of patrol sergeants. Board of Commissioners renegotiated a 5-year win-win contract between the Upper Chichester Township Board of Commissioners and the Fraternal Order of Police. Every time we go into these contract negotiations, we negotiate not based off of emotion. We negotiate based off of facts, trying to come up with contracts that make really good sense for the community so that they don't cost too much money for the community, but also ensures that our officers, are comfortable when they go home at night. We continued our commitment to policing through events, community policing through Chichester Night Out, Delco Inclusive Dance, and Shop with a Cop. That's just some of the programs that Ray has spearheaded here. The Shop with the Cop program helps out kids in the community in need who might not get presents if it wasn't for this program at Christmas time. It's sponsored by early businesses. So thank you to all the businesses and people that sponsor that. Delco Inclusive Dance, we'll talk about later, is award winning, and the Chichester Night Out is an explosive. Well, yeah. Oh, last year, you'll see up there, we achieved accreditation. That was in our 2024 recap. Now this year, we have a certified accreditation manager in the department. He's received his certification this year, and they continue to do all the steps to remain accredited. And that's a not a lot of police departments in the state of Pennsylvania have that done. So kudos to them. And then it's important that we stay connected with the youth in the school district. So we maintained our relationship with the Chichester School District by providing trained certified school resource officers. There's one in the high school, one in the middle school, and then as well, you regularly see police officers attending most of the events in the school district. Ensure that there's presence there, whether that's requested by the school district from time to time, and then sometimes with the school spirit. Awards and recognition. So one of the things that we like to do is we like to make sure that we get the word out there of what we're doing. So the Pennsylvania Recreation and Parks Society, they awarded the township the Excellence in Recreation and Parks Award for the Delco Inclusive Dance this year. That's up there. That was again a partnership program between the Chichester Police Department, the Recreation Department, the school district was involved. It was a really great program that Ray helped to get off the ground there. It's 2 years now. It's just phenomenal. It gets a lot of sponsors, and it's a really good time for those kids. We became a bronze certified sustainable community through the Sustainable Pennsylvania program. I'm really proud about this one because a lot of communities will say sustainability is our goal, and they just kind of forget about all the other things and just say this is our priority. So what we did was we said, how are we a sustainable community in everything we do? So this was more of a litmus test of all of our operations. And when we did that litmus test of our operations, we actually scored very highly, enough to be able to get the bronze certification. And with one more, essentially doing one more thing, which we're going to accomplish in 2026, we'll become a silver certified program. So you know, it's again, it shows that this is built into what people are doing here in the community, what they're doing in their apartments, and what the board wants to see out of the operation of the township. We received county and statewide recognition for our historical site survey update. We had a 1983 windshield study of historical properties that was redone this past year. We won the Outstanding Contribution to Historic Preservation from the Heritage Commission of Delaware County, as well as the Local Government Leadership Award from Preservation Pennsylvania. Got to go to that award ceremony out by Pittsburgh. And the comment while they were reading about our plan was that they are going to be recommending this as the staple for people doing historic preservation plans in Pennsylvania. So kudos to everybody that worked on that, you know, for really setting the bar very high and delivering a great product. And then we worked very closely with the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce, and we were able to put two staff members through the Leadership Delaware County program through the Chambers. We're going to continue to bring people through that program, a great leadership program. Caitlin is in that program right now. I'm a graduate of that program. Ray was one of the individuals who graduated through that program last year. And then we got some projects done, right? So we do our everyday business, but we also are trying to improve the community as much as possible. In the Linwood Heights neighborhood, we did a signage project. This was aimed at changing out all the street signs with their emblem for their neighborhood. So each of the neighborhoods have their own seal. So it's a play on the township seal and then something historic from that area. As well as we were able to put a historic sign up in the Johnson Avenue Park. So that signs up. It talks a little bit about the Chichester Liberty, the origination split. Lower and Upper Chichester, as well as the significance of that property, which used to be a schoolhouse. McKay Avenue Stormwater Project. This was a small stormwater project aimed at kind of getting some water to an inlet, which was laying in the street. This is something that we're going to build on with additional projects. We improved the Bethel Chai Thornton intersection. You see there's all the black powder coat new traffic signals there. That was all updated with new equipment, as well as the 452 I-95 and Chestnut Street intersection improvements. Now that one looks a little bit different. You go there, it doesn't look like it's completed. It's not completed. We were required to only do phase one. We had gone in with a full-blown project. However, we had been also advocating with PennDOT to get the, that would be the northbound off-ramp signalized. And that's actually getting paid for through the 322 project. So over the next 2 years, you're going to see a temporary signal go up and some more improvements there. And then in the third year, that whole area is going to get redone. You're going to see new traffic signals there, a new pattern coming off of 95. It's going to become a lot safer. And most importantly, I don't know if anybody drives over on Market Street, it's like the Rocky Mountains when you come up. So that'll stop that, because right now what happens is there's nothing controlling people to control their speed. So the trucks, they get going, then they hit the brakes and it makes the asphalt. So that's a really good project. And then we borrowed some money. I usually don't say that's successful, but what it did for us was it allowed us to reserve some capital funds. So we've been getting a lot of grant money over the years. They're all reimbursable grants though, so we have to put the money out and break the money back. So instead of using capital funds, we were able to borrow money, put that in the bank, earning interest, and then draw down off of that. So we basically offset our interest costs with the interest that we're gaining on our. That. And then it finally came this year. This was a grant from 2023. It was a back order for a long time. Our staff is now getting trained on it. We will have a street sweeper, and the street sweeper will be up and running in the next couple of months, going down Chichester Avenue, cleaning up, going into the neighborhoods, cleaning up. It also has a vac attachment to be able to help clean out the inlets. So this will be something that's utilized by the Stormwater Authority. Really kind of help out with the maintenance of the community and really give it that look that we're looking for. And then we've got a lot of projects that we've started that are not quite completed yet. So these are 2025 projects in progress that will be completed by 2026. I'm sure you've all seen the Kingsman Road Park Rehabilitation Project. Obviously, Michael, I'd love to be over there swinging on a swing right now, but due to weather and some other things, this project did not quite get finished. So this will get finished up for the spring, and we'll have a nice big party to use the park. Outdoor pickleball courts, couple seating areas, ADA compliant park equipment, really sharp park, turns a little neighborhood park into a regional park, so that's great. Boothman Firehouse Library renovation, this is an awesome project for the community. So right now, as we speak, the fire company who was consolidated a couple of years ago is getting ready to move out of the Boothman Firehouse and into the old Reliance Firehouse. That's been going through a renovation project over the past couple of months. And we are gearing up to start the library renovation of Boothman Firehouse. So again, we were looking for a civic anchor in our town center. This is going to give us that civic anchor. It's going to give us our central place that people can go to. It's activities that's going on in the town center. Really start to help build that dream of turning the Boothman into a town center area. Johnson Avenue Sidewalk and Roadway Improvements Project. This is Community Development Block Grant Project, and cleaning up a little bit of Johnson Avenue from is it Alabama? Is it Alabama? Down from the Chichester Avenue side down. We previously had done some work on the other side back. Bergdahl Park Stream Bank Restoration Project. You might not know what Bergdahl Park is, but this is that little park that is next to the Mill Road roundabout. We call them all parks. It's not a playground, it's a park. So we have a multi-phase project over there to do some stream bank restoration. We previously retrofitted the basin over there, and then eventually it's going to become a passive walking trail area as well. We can't do this if we don't plan, right? So neighborhood plans, each one of our neighborhoods gets a plan. We go out, we survey the community, we find out what they're interested in. We talk to the staff, we talk to everybody and figure out what are like good 5-year plans to be able to make quick improvements in each of these neighborhoods. That way, if we see a grant application come up, we can pull the project out of these plans and go for that money. Or if we start to get some traction, like this gentleman came in tonight for potential development, Brian was able to tell him that we had some plans already associated with that area. So that'll be something that's shared with the developer so that they see what the goal is for that area. So that when they come in, if they come in with the project, it makes sense for what we're doing. EMS services in Upper Chichester is provided by the Boothman Ambulance Service. We've been working with them to help them with their finances and help them create a sustainable model. So we've been working with the company to kind of give us some information and do a deep dive into their operations and the finances to determine what's the best model forward to ensure that they last for a very long time and can provide that service in the community. And then finally, we have other little stuff that we're working on, but internal IT conversion. IT for us is like always been a bad word here. So we've been working through a project to get rid of our antiquated server and better utilize some of the cloud-based programs that we had. So that's going nicely. And the server is now still running because we can't get rid of it yet, just in case. We've been off of the server for like a week now. So this is really good. So, yeah. And then this is something that we did a while ago, but I wanted to bring it up again because there were some significant things that this did this year. So back in 2021, we were coming out of COVID, so we're trying to figure out what's going on. And we're having strategic planning sessions, and we have our strategic planning sessions. And one of the things we do is we try to look at what's something really big that we can do to have a long-term impact. So what we did in 2021 was we borrowed 31 million. Actually, 31,705,000. It's a 30-year bond at a 2.72% term. What we did with that was we took that money and we funded what's called a post-employment benefits trust fund. So up until 2022, when this all came to fruition, 2021, 2022, the contractual benefits for people when they retire were paid out of the general fund. So that was competing with the money that we used to, clean up the roads and do all these other things, right? And every year, the cost of those benefits got higher and taxes were flat, taking more money. So we established a dedicated trust fund to pay contractual post-employment health benefits for union employees. We remove these costs from the general fund. We set it up in investments with a assumed return at 6%, with the long-term goal of fully funding these benefits through the investment. So the idea would be that the only thing that we were paying is 30 years of debt service. After you hit year 30, you have no payments ever due. The fund would cover its. So, the current estimated funding level of that is 145%, meaning that in 4 years, we accomplished what we thought was gonna take us 15 years. So at this point, there is no need, no general fund contribution will be needed to put into this for it to be able to suffice offering these benefits forever. So the benefits are going to be able to be paid out of the OPEB trust fund. We will continue to lower our risk in it. We'll lower our assumed interest rate and lower our mix until we get to this point where we basically have a risk-free OPEB trust fund that consistently pays for benefits forever. So that is a huge move that gives us a lot of flexibility. It allows future boards to either continue paying off the bond at 2.72%, or if something comes up where interest rates sink significantly, they would refinance the bond, take it out even further, and free up more general funds. So that was a big thing that the board did. It was a very calculated risk and hit at the exact right time. We also took money from that into our pension. So when we started this, our pension fund had an assumed investment return rate of 8%. So if you know anything about the market, be able to get an 8% rate, you have to do 8% in stocks and looking for everything. So it happens for a good blended portfolio, your return should be around 6.5, 6.67 is what ours is targeting. So we were able to decrease our assumed investment rate down to 6.5, and then again down to 6.6%, which means every year we beat 6% in the market. We're putting additional funding in there, which lowers the amount of money that needs to come out of the general fund to pay for the pension. We are pretty close to a situation here where we will not have to, again, put any kind of money into this from the general fund, and the pension fund will just pay for itself. Now, police pension is at 88%. Someone will look at that and they will say that you're mildly distressed, but I will say we are the only police pension fund anywhere near that with a 6% interest rate, assumed interest rate. So we are in a very, very good spot. The non-uniform, this is a frozen plan. It's not offered to anybody anymore. It will eventually phase out. That's 95%, and that's 6%. So they essentially made a financial move that is setting the township up for in perpetuity to be able to handle these benefits for its employees without putting that cost back on the taxpayers. And it was done because we were able to take advantage at that time. And this year we hit that critical funding in the OPEB that's going to allow us to never have to put anything in. So kudos to everybody here in their decision making and analysis on that, and work. Well, we're not done. We got like 24 slides, folks. You're all night.
This is a high-level overview of Upper Chichester Township's budget process. We begin to work on the budget in June, and we end in December when the budget is adopted by the Board of Commissioners. We hold internal meetings to go over each department individually and invite the board to attend. We ask each department head to forecast and reforecast many times with their 2025 budget numbers so that we can better judge future budget information. A draft of the budget is presented in November for the preliminary adoption and again in December for final adoption. Our 2026 budget priorities ensure focus on the community value statements from Heart and Soul, build on prior successes, look forward, always preparing for short and long term, and ensure cash budget, service, and long-term solvency.
And some of our focused areas, and some of these focus areas stay pretty consistent year over year. So grant funding, acquisition, and cash management. I am sad to report that this year we did not meet our goal of $1 million in grant funding. As you know, the federal government and the state government were shut down for quite some time, and our county government just had to raise taxes by 19%. So sources that we typically get grant funds from kind of on hold. So what that's going to do is that's going to make 2026 look really good because we're going to have 2025 grants and 2026 grants in 2026. So, we'd love to have the money this year, but the reality is they're still outstanding. Very competitive grant applications that should be good. We're gonna have two newly elected officials. They're here with us tonight in the crowd. Wait, so we are going to work really hard to make sure that they are successfully onboarded so that they know, everything they need to know about local government in Upper Chichester and how to efficiently get on their duties. We're focusing on building capacity within our finance department. This is a transitionary year for us. As Caitlin mentioned, she was recently promoted to the Director of Finance Treasurer position. And we've, a new staff member that just came in, so that'll be something that we continually monitor and work with to ensure that they are set up for success. We're going to evaluate our license and inspections department, and develop a plan for future operations of the department. This is a department that we've kind of like looked at a couple of times, and we've got some really good people in place here, but we don't have like a really good plan. So we've worked out very well when we've gone out and gotten plans to consultants that have been able to help us kind of determine the path forward for that department. So that's going to be one of our projects. We want to continue to focus on the Recreation 365 goal. If you don't know what that is, every day I ask the Recreation Department what they're doing. We want something going on in this community 365 days, whether that's something that we're doing, something we're partnering with, or something just going on in the community so that people have something to do every day here. We also want to continue to implement our Master Parks Recreation and Open Space Plan. We have a couple projects already teed up for this. It's projects that are going to be completed. As well as we want to continue to evaluate for 2026 and beyond capital projects and planning needs and continue to get that funnel going so that we always know what to expect and what we need to work on and what we need to line up funding for. And then always we are evaluating investing in our staff to add capacity to our organization and sending people to training. That's allowing people to work on stretch projects where they might not necessarily be in the department, but it's something that they enjoy, as well as from time to time adding talented people like Caitlin to our staff so that we can get this done. And earlier we showed you the 2025 projects in progress with that, but we also have some projects that are getting ready to start or will be starting at some point in 2025. We will be continuing the Chichester Avenue Streetscape project. This time we're going to focus in the area of Chichester Avenue and Meeting House Road. This is to kind of capitalize on the work that's being done with the library. So we'll get some on-street parking. You'll see the nice red brick sidewalks, everything real nice up there. Really start to make it feel like more of a town center. Chichester Avenue Signal Interconnectivity Project is something I really can't wait to see get done. I don't know if any of you have ever sat in traffic on Chichester Avenue, but it just seems like you hit every light sometimes. So we've been working with the engineers for a project that would better connect those signals and allow for easier mobility throughout the corridor there. Twin Oaks Broadway, the Twin Oaks Broadway Neighborhood Entrance Project. This is a project that will be enhancing the Broadway entrance into the Twin Oaks neighborhood with some signage, the center medium, and better defining the line, the in and out areas there. That's a good project, community development project. And then Fury Road Bridge Culvert. We are responsible for a couple of the bridges in the community, including the Fury Road Bridge. That culvert is deficient. We were able to get a grant through the Commonwealth for a large portion of the cost to repair that culvert, the project that gets started. Those are public works projects. And then for recreation, Community Action Agency, we have entered into agreement with them and working with them to develop the back of their property to do like a little pocket park, where not only the library can utilize it for outdoor activities, but we can also use it in the off hours for like events in the town center, like food truck events, music events, things like that. And then township-wide, we have a trail feasibility study. So partnering with our Master Parks Recreation and Open Space Plan, we want to be able to get everything connected. Sometimes that's going to be on road, sometimes that's going to be off road. So we're going to do a trail feasibility study throughout the community, connecting places to figure out how we can get everything everywhere.
So the departments that really break out our budget are general government, police, fire, EMS, sanitation, and debt service. Our total 2026 revenue will be $18,729,916. And the 2026 expenses will match this at $18,729,916. The earned income tax rate is 1% unchanged from prior years. Our local services tax is also unchanged at $52 per employee. The real estate tax is set to 3.0352 mils, unchanged as well. And the trash collection fee will also remain the same at $385. This is a breakdown of all of our revenue categories. Our biggest sources of revenue are from real estate property taxes, local tax enabling taxes, and our sanitation department through the trash collection fee. Federal capital and operating grants only bring in $78,125. State capital and operating grants bring in about $20,000, and the state shared revenue and entitlements brings in $645,192. We are not heavily dependent on higher levels of government for funding, which is a positive thing. Our main expenditure categories are police, highway maintenance, debt principal, and debt interest. This year, as George said, we took on a project to pull a lot of IT expenses around. So we also did that in our budget and not just in the office. All IT related expenditures are now out of individual departments. And this is just a way for us to better manage these expenses for the township as a 36% of our revenue comes from earned income tax, 24% from real estate tax, and 9% from the sanitation fee. 2% comes from local services tax, and the remaining 29% of our revenue comes from other sources. Our focus annually is always to grow the other category so that it stays at or exceeds that 29%. Our expenditures, 38% are for police and crossing guards, 25% for public works, 13% for debt are our main three categories. The final 24% of the budget is spread across all of the remaining departments. This chart is just breaking out our budget categories. In 2024, we had a 60, 30, and 10% split. Even with adding additional debt in 2025, we're still very close to the previous numbers, falling now at 60% for employment costs, 27% for operating expenses, and 13% for debt service. Our liquid fuels 2026 revenue total is $462,737, and our 2026 expenditures will match at $462,737. For almost a decade, this board has utilized these funds totaling nearly $500,000 to address road concerns, traffic calming needs, and ADA curb and sidewalk ramp upgrades. Upper Chichester Township will continue to explore large resurfacing projects that target specific areas.
Any questions? Any questions or is there any questions or comments from the board? I
Yeah.
was gonna,
So when I got on the board in 1990, the first time I was on the board, this entire thing was one-page sheet of paper that I was given. There were no public meetings. And I turned around to one of the other commissioners as we walked out and said, I think that was illegal. But being a neophyte at the time, I was like, okay. And I've worked pretty much on administration for almost 18 of the 20 years that I've been on here. And this is such a vast improvement in terms of our ability to report. The fact that in some ways I've been less involved with the budget process than I used to be. I mean, I used to like hone every department down, and now we have a staff that I feel completely confident that they can carry on this work by themselves. And I want to thank, I hate to thank George very often, but I want to thank George and Caitlin and Marco, who is not here, for all the work that they have done over the past few years to make this such a professional presentation. And I give them a hard time all the time about how long it takes, but I really think this is a vast improvement from where we were. Thank you.
yeah, kudos. Any other comments or questions from the board? So I wish that the audience that we had here last month was here, right? To actually learn about what's happening in your town. This was a great presentation, for the new commissioners coming on. We didn't have this coming in. This has been a project. And like Mr. Neary said, he's been working with them for a majority of the time he's been on the board. And we have, and me in particular, we've like, let's get a presentation going. So this is a great presentation. And this gives you a really deep dive into everything that's going on, all the departments, where the money's going. Once you get in, you understand where the money's going, you understand the operations, it becomes easier to do the job that you're going to be doing when you start sitting up here. So it's really important to understand all the departments. Great presentation. It's just, I'm so proud of all the projects that we've done, all the grant money that we've been able to get. I remember when I first got on board, I had public safety and I had the Chief Bush, and they wanted cameras, and I was like, it was $400,000. Like, nobody tells the police no, first of all, right? So I'm like, how am I gonna figure out how to say no to this project for $400,000? So we said, well, let's wait on this. Let's see if the price comes down. And so they did. The price came down. We have cameras throughout the town. We have a professional police department, and I'm just super proud of all the work that the staff has done under George's leadership. We have professional staff in place, and like I said last month, we're definitely leaving the town in good hands. I did my budget presentation on Tuesday in Malvern, so I know I did the same thing. So this was great. This was great. So kudos to you all. The residents should really be proud of the professional staff that we have, all of us have here in Upper Chichester. So thank you. All right, so a couple of announcements. Oh yeah, public comment. Sorry. Public comment. Does anybody else want to come up and give kudos to the professional staff that we have here? No, but if you have a question or comment, please come over to the podium and give us your name and make your comment. Thanks, George. Also like to mention that we did have an executive session this evening at 6:30, from 6:30 to about 7:15. Or 6:30 to 7:20, we met in executive session to discuss personnel matters. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Laura Schreiber. I live at 6,000 Village Way, in Upper Chi, and I just want to thank Nicole and Joe for all the hard work they've done in all these years. And I won't be able to be here next week when it's your last week. So I wanted to be here this week and thank you.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, don't make me cry. I'm waiting. I'm holding off from crying till next week. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, we'll move on to our agenda. Couple of announcements. Upper Chichester, we're gonna have our annual Santa Sprint 5K race will be held on Saturday, December the 20th. Check-in time is 10 a.m. and that's located at 1901 Chichester Avenue. And if you want that location, that's the wholesale fireworks location, which is kind of like next, it runs along Johnson Avenue, Johnson and Chichester Avenue. That's fireworks store. They actually, this will be our second year having our race start there. They open up their doors for us. We kind of gather there before the race starts. So that is Saturday, December 20th. Please register online. I believe we had about 80 people registered last week. I'm sorry. Oh, we have 100 now. Oh my gosh, this is really growing. I think we're gonna have to shut down the road, chief. They're gonna have to shut it down.
Is there a cap on the people?
No, I don't think we did a cap. No, so I think the first year we had 20, each year it's gotten bigger. I think last year we had 80. So now we're up to 100 folks. So people come out dressed in costumes, dressed in their Santa gear. So it's really a fun day. I actually did it last year myself. So I did. I ran, I walked, I ran, I walked. And then after that, we will have the holiday celebration. That'll be here at the field house. We'll have music, toys, food, and lunch with Santa, pictures with Santa. That's going to start at 11:30 a.m. And it'll go until 1 p.m. here at the municipal complex. Each child will receive a gift as well. So make sure we share that information. We also will be having a dedication here. The field house will be officially renamed, and the unveiling of the commemorative plaque in honor and memory of our former longtime recreation director, Joe Morrison. So that'll be next Thursday. Immediately following the Board of Commissioners meeting, we'll have some refreshments in the newly renamed field house to celebrate the outgoing commissioners, Mr. Neary and myself. So that'll be after next Thursday's meeting. Okay. All right. Well, I will turn this over to our Vice President, Mr. Commissioner Rakowski.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
The professionals.
Yeah, we did professional. I'll do it first. I'll wait.
Okay, we'll go to Mr. Sioka.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, trustee, I have a copy of my report, and I will also go through a number of items that we'll be asking for your consideration at the next meeting. The 2025 road program, we have payment request number 1 in front of you for your consideration. That's all the road paving. Milling and paving has been completed, and that's in that invoice. And just today, I've received the final invoice for the remainder of items. So there's some handicap ramps or ADA ramps, curb cuts, and some striping that's being finished up actually between this week and next week. So we'd like to get that in to be closed out so we can get our PennDOT closure reports in for this year. So it's not in your packet, but you'll have it for next meeting. We have also the final payment request and final change order with final quantities. And I'm happy to report that the final quantities for this result in a cost decrease of the total project by $4,236.33. So that'll be the road program payment request. So that'll be for, like I said, 2 payment requests, and that'll close out the project at the next meeting. Johnson Avenue, that's a CDBG project that has started. We have payment request number 1 in front of you for consideration, and that's for some curb and sidewalk work. Like I said, it has begun over at Johnson Avenue and is continuing. Chichester Avenue signal synchronization. This is part of a Green Light Go project and grant money that we've received. We're asking for authorization to advertise this. It's been in with PennDOT for their approval for a little over a month now, so we're just waiting for that to happen. We don't want to wait and miss potentially another month, so we're asking for the board's authorization to move forward with that once we have the feedback from PennDOT. So we'll be asking for that in your next meeting. Kingsman Park, we have payment request application for that as well. It's payment request number 8. There's also in front of you a small change order. Parks and Rec Board and Public Works looked at modifying the signage going there. There's some there's the park sign itself, and then there's also all of the funding partners. And with the new raised planter box that was put in, they came up with a better design for it. And really, it's a $475 increase to the contract. And I think it'll make it look a lot nicer and blend in better with the new planter box that's in, and also be more conforming with the remainder of all the other signs in the town. So that'll be up for your consideration at the next meeting as well. 4800 Chichester Avenue, that's the warehouse right down the street. We received a final inspection request from them. I've included a draft final inspection report for the board's review. I've also been talking with the codes department to see if they've received any complaints or anything else that should be added. So at the next meeting, we're asking for that to be approved, to be sent out. And that's required also by the MPC that we respond with that in a timely manner. So like I said, we have that in front of you for your request or for your review. And then we have one other item. I was contacted on another grant application. We submitted all the contract documents for the Broadway Avenue intersection improvements over in Twin Oaks. When the bids came in, they were above the allocation for that. So the allocation for the project was $100,000 or $100,950. And then we had the pricing that came in was $120,911. OHCD said they feel they can get that approved for an increased allocation because it's under 20% for that amount. So we're asking for approval to send in a letter asking for that increase in allocation. The only one thing with that is we also had a change order to correct a curbing length item in there, and that was for approximately $10,000. OHCD said they wouldn't approve that at this time, but they would take it under consideration as part of the final quantities when we go through that. Normally, from our experience, they allow for up to a 10% variance, when you come in for your final quantity. So we're hoping that will be completely funded, but in the worst case scenario, the board or the township would be asked to cover that $10,625 difference in the cost. And it's mostly looking at the bids. They came in higher than what we've seen really through this past year from some of the other contracts that we're looking at. So we weren't expecting it to come in this high, but it obviously it did. So we did have a bunch of contractors. We had 5 contractors bid it. This was the low bidder. They are a responsible bidder. They've done a lot of this work in the past, and they're certified by PennDOT to do this type of work as well. So that's just something for the board to consider. But really, it is a great opportunity to clean up that intersection, make it look really nice and inviting into Twin Oaks. And like I said, it's worst case, it's 92% funded, with the township being requested to, like I said, kick in for $10,000. So we'd be asking for the board to authorize the township manager to write that letter to and I have a draft of that as well, to write that letter to the OHCD to allow for that to be increased. That's all I have, unless the board has any other questions.
I have two questions. Kingsman Park,
Yes.
when is the expected completion date for this?
So really, we ran into a weather issue. The last two items that are required are the the pickleball court coating. It's an epoxy type coating, and the poured in place safety surface at the playground area. Those two items, talking with the installers, they really want to have weather in the 50-degree range and not have freezing overnight. So we're not in that until the spring. So they're anticipating a March, April completion. That's really the main two items that are left. Everything else, for the most part, it has been completed. So
I know there was a drainage issue around the the playground equipment. So that's this poured in place that they're going to be doing. Is that all taken care of?
so yeah, so you would
Before they
approve,
do it?
yeah, you would approve a change order to allow for that additional drainage to be added. The contractor ordered all that pipe, and I believe it just came in this past week. He's scheduling, I believe, to start that next week. It's only probably about a week's worth of work, so we'll have that done well in advance of them coming out for that additional or for that poured in place surface.
And then in the meantime, is there anything in place to protect the equipment that's been installed?
They have temporary fencing up at this time.
So, I mean,
And I know they took down, I think there was some concern because
well,
I think
it's pretty- yeah, I mean, it's very enticing for the little kids to go there still and play. I mean, it's
yeah, they
full of mud last time that I went.
they did remove, I believe, the swings and some of the zip line equipment because some of the kids, I believe, were getting in there. They were going through climbing over the fence and getting in there, but we had the contractor go back out and take that stuff out to kind of reduce that enticement, as you said.
Now, my only concern is if, we're, March, April, I hope that the equipment looks nice when we open it. So I know it's not been the ideal weather and we had hiccups, but it's frustrating too. But thank you.
First off, I wanted to thank the subcontractors on the road program. They were really easy. We had a lot of streets in my ward that were done, and they did a really good job. I think it was Damon and Suture.
It was.
And they were both, they happened to do my street, so I've talked to them a number of times. And they were really flexible in terms of, originally they were going to do it on election day.
Yeah,
And
we
I was
told them
like,
not to.
Yeah, that was,
George mentioned it and we told them not to, and they were happy to have
Is
to
it
oblige.
the milling machine out front?
well, yeah, hey, they could put it in my driveway. But the other thing is Tower Circle. I don't see, we had plenty of rain Tuesday.
So we were out there, we looked at it. It is in a much better condition. So we believe it's working perfectly fine now. The only thing will just be maintenance. So leaves and things get in there. It could get on grates and different things like that. So I'll talk with Public Works about, in the future, just making sure that they're maintaining this. But yes, it is working. Has been working well, from what we've seen. And with this past rain, it worked real well. We were in there yesterday and today.
I have one thing. The road program, I don't think it was this year, it might have been last year. I did Penland Drive. Comcast did some boring work across the street. And now I have a speed hump in the middle of the street. I don't think they went deep enough during the boring. And is there anything that they're reliable to fix on that?
Yeah, we can take a look at it and contact them. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Comcast. 'Cause
Comcast.
Some new cable lines.
Did they come in for a permit for that,
I'll double check.
Okay.
All these utilities go through the public works fund, so I'll touch base.
Yeah.
I know they can't do nothing until the spring anyway, but I just don't, it's a small speed hump, but I just don't want anything happening down the road. Since we just repaid the whole.
Yep, sure.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, move on to our solicitor's report, Mr. Crowder.
Sure. So the first thing we have in our report is 801 Bethel Ave, land development extension. They've submitted an extension request for us to act on at our next meeting, which will take us through March 15th, 2026. For 2351 Booker Ave, this is the Carter subdivision application. We've received not a request, we've received a letter withdrawing that application, so that will come off our list. We just want to note it for the purpose of the minutes that they submitted their withdrawal and their plan will now be withdrawn.
Mike, so they rescinded that withdrawal.
Oh, they
now-
did?
Now submitted a extension request.
Oh. Okay, I didn't see that. I just saw the.
That just all happened. Very, very recent.
Okay, scratch everything I just said. They submitted an extension request. Suppose, and then the meeting date ordinance, I know later in the manager's report, there's for discussion on the meetings. In order to implement that, we'll have to enact ordinance amendment to correct that. Any change. That's all I have for my follow-up.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the solicitor?
I have to get these all in, you know.
Yes.
We got one more meeting. The redistricting, I see that Jim's preparing it. You think it'll
Yes.
be filed before the end of the year?
I hope so. Push him as much as
Huh?
I'm pushing him as much as I.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to our manager's report, Mr. Needles.
Good evening, everybody. I do have another presentation. First item I have is the library project payment request. As you know, we're gonna be starting construction over there and to be able to take advantage of some of the grants that we've got. We've been paying for some of the items, the elevator and other such things. We'll have a payment request for them. The Stormwater Authority budget, as you know, one of the things that was built into the Stormwater Authority was a level of control by the Board of Commissioners to ensure that they don't go rogue with their budgeting, their fees or things like that. So you have a copy of the budget. Ask that you concur their adoption or meeting. The firehouse project, in the list of bills this month, there was a bill for the firehouse for the reimbursement based off of the previous conversation and approval where they were approved $500,000. So there has been some overages in the construction project. So we've reimbursed them up to the 500,000 at this point. Now we can discuss this interested in extending additional funding for that project to get that done. We do have a question after them to see if there's any other invoices that would be coming in and what the total amount would be, so we can bring that to you. So that'll be something we need to discuss. The 2026 holiday schedule is presented in front of you. That'll be something for the board to consider this year. And then we have, so typically we advertise all the meetings for the year in December. However, Mike, I would defer to you. If we are in fact considering changing that, and that needs to be done by ordinance, we would not advertise prior to the adoption. That's correct. Yeah, so my thought would be to do like our January meetings or advertise all of our committee meetings and we can change. Get that out of the way. Just. So, and I guess this is something that the board needs to discuss. So, this was brought up because, we have this first Thursday meeting. And what happens is, well, next year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can guarantee on 9 of those meetings, we will not have hardly any of the reports and much of the information. So it becomes very difficult as we're trying to close out the end of the month, to be able to get all that information in. The other thing is because our planning commission meetings are back to back to our caucus meetings, sometimes we will have a planned caucus meeting. We are unsure whether or not they're going to be coming to the planning meeting, unsure whether they're coming to the caucus meeting. there's a lot of back and forth and eat up a lot of time and that we couldn't be prepared for the meeting. So we're looking to hopefully, board is having to move move those meeting nights to get a little bit more flexibility and to be able to provide more detail, better timing for getting the agenda, on giving information. So we prepared two schedules, one with the current meeting schedule, and then one with, based off some previous conversations, where the first meeting would be the second Tuesday of each month. The Board of Commissioners meeting would then be the fourth Wednesday. So looking for feedback, determine this is, we need to create and move these changes that meeting. What works, what doesn't work.
So we're looking at second Tuesday, third Wednesday. Fourth Wednesday. So they'll be almost 2 weeks apart.
There's no way we could get the same day on the weeks? I mean,
How soon do we gotta make this decision? I just want to include the two new commissioners coming in.
That's why you're gonna meet with them. I think that's part of the discussion process.
All right, any questions for, Mr. Needles?
George, for the firehouse project, is that amount could be brought to us next week to vote on, or we're still sharpening our pencils to see what it is?
So right now, we're gonna they've made a payment to the contractor and we're gonna make a partial payment to them to hit that 500,000 mark.
Uh-huh.
You know, my hope is that I can get that number as soon as possible from them, that final number to be able to bring that to you is that this is what it's gonna cost to finish off the project. And go from there.
Regardless of, I mean, I want to support the firehouse, but regardless of what the project is, if we can get the numbers at the caucus meeting, so that way the following meeting, we know what they are. And to help us understand what's going on.
So at this point, what I can tell you is it's, the current one that we have is slightly, just under $50,000.
Okay.
So, I mean, the board could take this in chunks if they're interested in this and entertain just the portion from the invoice they have, or I can see if they can give me that number this week.
So what was our discussion, regarding the funding for the fire companies for this project? Well, let me back up. When are they moving out? Let's start there. This Saturday. Okay, thank you. What was our discussion when we agreed to the funding for them?
Previously, we were presented information that, equated to roughly $750,000. And $250,000 was the upfront payment for the lease for the library building. And then the board had approved up to 500,000 additional funding to help them with that project.
So the 250 really is, when you look at the big picture, we have been giving the library $100,000 annually in support from the township. So that's essentially 2 years of support, financial support, their rent, all the things. And then so directly going to support the fire company was the $500,000 to help them renovate their new location and get moved in. Okay. So, I would like to see, like next week's our last week, but I just would like to see where their funding is. What are they putting into this project? Right? What are the fire companies putting into this project? They've essentially received a large chunk of money from us already. Okay, and the library has not moved in yet. We still, like, We're still in the holding pattern.
Initially, they presented to us that they had put out about 270,000
They put out 270 already.
prior to the 215.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
The only hiccup I've heard of so far was when they went to do the kitchen, they were ready to put the kitchen in, but I think, Bill's working on to give them a temporary CO because they have to order the cabinets. There has to be ADA of compliance, so it's basically cabinets they have are no good. They have to reorder a whole set of, kitchen cabinets to meet the ADA. So that,
Fire, like the suppression system,
Right.
other things, getting things up to code. I mean, from a positive perspective, you were going to have a firehouse that with the Chichester Fire Department is operating that is code compliant.
correct.
I mean, that's great, but my concern is we know that we have this grant money from all these different sources for the library. So we could be giving more money to the fire companies and losing money because we haven't started the project yet. Right, so I don't want to make sure we're not losing any money for the library.
That's the reason we previously authorized Blue Scope to procure the elevator and to start to procure the supplies, to do all the design, everything that was covered so that there was costs that would be reimbursed from the grants that we published.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. Moving on now to our Commissioner's report, Commissioner, Vice President. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot you're here. Thank you. Treasurer's report.
The final 2026 budget will be up for consideration next week at the Board of Commissioners meeting. There will be a motion authorizing the township treasurer to make all necessary payments through the end of 25, up for consideration next week as well. An ordinance setting the 2025 fee for collection of trash, garbage, rubbish, and refuse materials at $385 per residential dwelling unit will be up for consideration next week. A resolution setting the 2025 real estate tax millage at 3.0352 will be up for consideration next week. A motion approving the 2026 Upper Chichester Township audit proposals from Lightsville and Economides will be up for consideration next week. We have no escrow releases at this time. And lastly, we have 2 tax refund requests per court order. 140 Chelsea Road in the amount of $759.80. And the second for 4431 Garnet Mine Road in the amount of $300.29. Both submitted by the tax collector. That will be on the agenda for next week. That's everything I have.
All right, great. Thank you. Any questions for our Treasurer, Finance Director? All right. Finally, moving on to Commissioner's report, Commissioner, Vice President Rakowski.
Thank you, Madam President. Reports are on file for the emergency management and also the, fire marshal reports are on file. EMS report will be next week. Talking about the EMS, the, study that we have been doing, we met this morning, just George and I and the EMS council and, Ray Fuller there. It sounds like the study should be completed to us, the first of the year at the latest. It's moving along. I think he's got a lot of the answers he needed today, meeting with us. And, just want to thank everybody that was involved with it. And hopefully everybody have a report. George, I think the invoice did come in for the list of bills. Make sure we have the bill paid for 2025 for the study. Am I correct, Ray? It'll be in for the 20, okay. Okay. So, but hopefully we get some, good pointers, good reviews, and also some, I won't say criticism, but some ways we could actually improve the service for the township, not just everybody else around us, but, and, can't wait to get started with the emergency service center study. And then after that one, I'd like to see some kind of a study, maybe towards the middle of the year to the end of the year for the, what it would be to have a paid fire department. I may not see it, sitting up at this table, but it's here. And I think having a study would give a lot of information to the, whoever sits up here for the new board members. And understanding that I will have my stats next week from Mr. Neary, but, the volunteers are not here. And, realistically, it's coming. So I just want to, and I'll be the first to say, I don't want my taxes to go up, but if we have a millage and we show the people why the millage has to go up because of not having the volunteers to protect us, I would have no issue with that personally. So, anybody else has anything, I'll be glad to kind of answer.
Any questions for Commissioner Rakowski? Right, hearing now, moving on to, Commissioner Neary.
Thank you, Madam President. The financial reports are available or will be available by next week. The list of bills is available. And the tax report, tax collector's report is here. And I'd like to thank Mr. Sanchez for his service for the past 5 or 6 years, I guess, right? And I really respect the fact that he has been so professional about these presentations and making that another thing that has improved dramatically. Also, the police report is available for everyone, and that's all I have.
All right, any questions for Commissioner Neary? Commissioner Biaco.
Thank you. George talked about the new street sweeper. They're being trained on that right now, and that should be up and running within the next several weeks. Stormwater is off and running. I think a lot of people have calmed down. They're starting to understand what we're doing there. The sewer authority, the force main projects get cleaned up. That's almost done. Highway and sanitation, getting ready for the winter. And, all the reports, I think we got them an email today, but they ain't in the folder yet. Just, and I get the copies next week without, this anybody gets to see. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'll just relay it to Put tomorrow. I noticed the street lights blinking right in front of, Rolling Glen Apartments. On the left.
Poll number?
Now, I'll have to swing by or just show it to them if I see them tomorrow.
Just give me the poll number. They located by the numbers on the poll.
Okay.
Commissioner Gaudioso.
Thank you, everyone. Looks like we're gonna have two extensions to be acted on next week then. One for 801 Bethel Road and the other one for 2351 Booker Avenue. I really don't have anything else to report on, except that I will say my fond goodbyes to Nicole and Joe next week. I will miss them.
We'll have the tissue.
Any questions for Commissioner Gaudioso? All right, I don't have anything to report other than the holiday celebration, which I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. And I will remind everyone about that next week. That's it. Any other action, any new business, anything else we need to discuss? All right, motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Good night, everyone. Thank you.